We're back. We're your hosts, Attorney A.D. Winters and Dr. Loris Tarver. We're here at In Our Own Defense Podcast, live here in Lake Travis in Austin, Texas, with Mbai Jai talking to us about the Legal Equalizer app. He's told us a fascinating story about how he started, how he was inspired, about the horrific events in Ferguson, Missouri with the killing of the unarmed Mike Brown. And so he's here telling us about the app. Dr. Tarver, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, so we got a chance to talk a little before about you were doing some research, not just on Mike Brown's case, but on other cases, and you found yourself getting knee deep reviewing these videos over and over and over again. Let's talk about the mental health experience in doing that, seeing those videos and how it affected you in your own life.
Yeah, after about 3 years of working on the app, I spent a year trying to figure out how to pivot. And I made the dumb decision of spending that year deciding to watch about 3,000 to 4,000 videos of black people getting beaten up, shot, killed by police, because I was trying to figure out what happened to even get to that point. And so what I realized during that point in time in my life is, I was a lot shorter with people, I was angrier, and I didn't think of it at that time. I was like, oh no, everything's fine. My friends and family were like, dude, something's off. And I look back at it now, and it's like, it's not normal for any human being to sit watching so many videos and so many images of pain, of death, and of trauma of our people without it affecting you somehow. And so that for a year and a half, couple of years, I was seriously depressed, and I didn't even realize what it was. And now I look back at it, it was like, oh, you just kept on watching videos of your people, of people that look like you, people that you care about, even though you don't know them, that are getting harmed, harassed, and beaten up like that.
Absolutely. And we talk about trauma, right? So oftentimes we think that trauma can only come from something you experience yourself, but you can have a vicarious trauma experience through watching other people experience traumatic events. And we also talk about how you feel when you get pulled over.
Yeah. I mean, now I tell people, like, I know for a fact when I get my insurance is good, I don't have a warrant, driving the speed limit, but still not even pulled over. When I see a police car behind me, my hands start sweating. I'm nervous, I'm shaking, and I know good and well I've done nothing wrong. But even then, it's that, you know, that inner feeling of what happens if they put those lights on, what happens if they pull me over. And it's that trauma of us watching video after video after video after video, because you can put yourself in those situations. Like, I've seen so many videos where somebody ends up beaten up or dead, and I'm like, that stop started out just like stops I've had before. And so that trauma does accumulate. And like we spoke before, I honestly believe that every black person in this country needs therapy to deal with the things America puts on you, the weight of this country, the weight of just racism in itself. And part of that is just literally seeing a police car behind me every single time. It puts me in a situation where I've never been to war, but I can understand when soldiers describe what PTSD feels like, because their description of that sounds like what I feel like every time I see a police car, every time I see those lights.
I can imagine that it's extremely traumatic to experience police in that way and to have the heightened anxiety, from having that and seeing that encounter potential play out in your head after watching the videos, after experiencing this as an African-American man in this country. One of the things that I'm really fascinated by is the actual tech portion of the app, the Legal Equalizer. So what does it do exactly? It alerts our family members and our friends that, hey, I've been stopped at a location. What exactly does it do?
So I'll walk you through from when you download the app, right? So
has anybody downloaded so far?
Oh yeah, we've got 350,000 downloads, and we have 225,000 plus registered users. So that's people with their emails and all their information to put in there.
That's awesome.
And it's free, right?
It is a free app, completely free. So when you download it, when you go into the app, it's gonna ask you, log in, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, email, Gmail, just log in. And then the next thing is access to your contacts. You say yes. And what we tell you is pick 5. We're gonna expand it to more than 5, but we pick 5 people that you know will respond to you if you're in trouble.
Okay.
So for me, it's like my mother, my best friends, a few attorneys, like, my girlfriend, like any people I know that will do that. I put them in there. Next thing is gonna ask you for access to your camera, access to your microphone so you can record all that stuff. So when you go in a simple app, you get pulled over, you get stopped, you hit that text message button, and the text message button comes with options. It says, I need help for a police stop, general emergency, domestic violence, immigration, or active shooting. You pick police stop. It says, I've been stopped by the police. My location is such and such. If you don't hear from me in the next 30 minutes, please call the police department in this area.
Yeah.
And then we give you the option to record that encounter or to have a live video now where you can have live eyewitnesses. So now when I've gotten stopped, by the time that officer's at my door, my mother and my best friends are on the phone watching and recording exactly what I've told them to stop.
Now that's fascinating. We've always preached this, that as when we created this and I've talked to other lawyers, we were always concerned about, could we make this better? A lot of people look for the simplest solution, and their simplest solution has always been, let's get more body cameras to police. I mean, we can have cameras for days, but we have to have something that we can control. And that's why I find your app so fascinating, and I'm so excited about Legal Equalizer. And when you download it, is it on all of the app stores?
Yep, it's on iOS, iTunes stores, and the Google Android Play Store as well. So
Okay.
you can download. It's free download.
And that's awesome. So, well, what step are you guys going further with it? And not to, I don't want everybody to know all your business, but are there any things that you guys are doing more with it for the future?
So
I'm
in the
excited
next
about it.
month, what you'll see is a few additional features. So like I said, that live stream feature is going to be implemented. So we've added additional steps to the live stream. That's one step. So not now only can your friends and family see the live stream. I'm now in Texas. I live in Georgia. So I can have my mom here, but now if I'm in Texas and I've got pulled over, I can now hit a button that will alert anybody in this zip code with a Legal Equalizer app to say, this person's been pulled over, do you want to watch and be an eyewitness? So now the community is going to be involved where the community can see who's being pulled over and record and see what's going on as well. On top of that, we've added a portion where if somebody's gotten a ticket, you can put the ticket, take a picture of it within the app. We're going to remind you of your court date or when to pay the ticket off. Why? A lot of people drive around with bench warrants. They don't know it, they missed the court date, and that's when they're getting pulled over, going to jail, going for that. Yeah. And then on top of that, though, for us with the ticket, the information we're going to get is super valuable. It's going to let us know why you got stopped, where you got stopped, what time you got stopped, and who stopped you.
I was looking at some of the research on it, and one of the readings I found said that you guys were considering trying to have lawyers as the kind of intermediary in that. Now, I find that may be challenging for you. Most lawyers know that, one, you got to have attorney-client privilege, so you have to establish that contract, have that relationship. So it requires us having a meeting kind of beforehand and having this dialogue that, hey, I'm your lawyer. And number two, we don't want to interfere with it's called obstruction of justice if you're interfering while police are doing their business. Have you guys thought about that or come across those challenges?
So what we decided to go with that, and we still depends obviously with law. Each state has different laws, right?
Yeah.
And so we wanted to make sure that that lawyer you contact is not technically your lawyer of record. It's a consultation.
Okay.
And so we also want to have disclaimers based on the state to let people know if you get a ticket, if you get arrested, you can't sue the lawyer or the company because of that. These people are here to help you, and it's a consultation.
Okay.
And so after that consultation, if you want to hire that lawyer and make him your attorney of record, then yes. But right now, I can legally call a lawyer and say, hey, can you give me a consultation on this? And some will do for free, and some will charge me.
Okay.
And so that's the distinction we're trying to make sure is saying this is not your attorney of record.
Okay.
This isn't somebody you have down here. I'm paying you for consultation in real time because you know the law better than I do.
Okay.
You know what to do better than I do. You studied, you went to law school. So if you can hear what the officer told me why I got stopped, A, you're probably going to tell me not to say a word and shut up. Yeah. And B, you're going to then tell me, okay, here's my recommendation in real time.
Yeah, I definitely always offer to control your urge to speak scenario. but I think this is fascinating. You're onto something. I just think I can see the future of this happening, whereas too you would have this could be associated. My truck's up this hill, and I got 1 million cameras on my truck, and there's cameras on the side, and the rearview mirror is a camera, and the back is a camera. There's a camera on the tail bumper, and all of this. With all these cameras, it seems as if we should be able to do something very good with that. Dr. Tarver, do you have any final questions?
Yeah, so we're being real cute like these ants aren't biting us. But anyway, you and I spoke, and I think it's important, a few things that I want to highlight. One, you talked about just sometimes when you're in a situation where you're fearful, you don't necessarily have the wherewithal to be able to think through things. So you mentioned being in a domestic violence situation, being in a situation where someone is doing something that makes you uncomfortable in terms of your boundaries, your sexual boundaries, or being in a situation where you're pulled over. These are opportunities where when sometimes we don't have our voice, we can have people available like, hey, come over to where I am, or hey, be on the phone and talk. And that sometimes will allow us the space to be able to process enough to be able to handle the situation. So can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned meeting with some young ladies at Spelman,
Right.
that informed some of this.
Yeah, so I mean, when I started the app, it was simply about policing, right? Because that's what's affecting me. And so right now we have immigration, sexual assault, and this stuff, and that's going to talking to other people about those situations and what goes on with them. So when I went to Spelman, I love to talk to those girls about, you guys get stopped by police. You guys get stopped at nighttime. You might get sexually harassed. Police might, bother you. And those girls like, police ain't the ones we're worried about sexual harassing us right now. It's these other campuses, these other people, grown men in Atlanta. And so we literally then after that went and spoke to some domestic violence groups and stuff, and they let us know that, hey, there are instances where people will want to call for help, but when they do it, the abuser sees it and it escalates it. So with that, we have a silent button. Well, like I said, the messages are different. So with that, it's, hey, I'm in a domestic violence situation. You don't hear me for the next minute. Here's my address, call 911. And so that's a silent way to hopefully get those people to have their family members know what's going on in real time. So it's adjusting and listening to other people's needs and trying to see, hey, it's not going to cost me that much money to put in the app. It's not going to be that hard of a fix. So why not put that there if I'm going to talk to a group of black young women about policing and they tell me that's not our biggest issue and my goal is safety of black people, then we're going to do that safety of black people depending on what that issue is at that point in time.
So for wrap up, you all know I like to wrap up. This can be used by our young college students. This can be used by our kiddos that are driving, women, men, anyone. It's a free app. You only pay if you access things like the legal consult.
Yep, if you want to get the attorney, that's it. And we also make your option to get an attorney cheaper than what that ticket would be. That's the other thing. And we're also working on stuff where I know a lot of people can't afford even the $50 or $100. So we're working on other ways to be able to also have them, don't worry about that aspect of the money, because we can cover that as long as, you go get a Know Your Rights camp or something else afterwards. So the end up goal is to make sure that people that can afford the attorneys, here you go. But for a lot of people that can't, we're going to find a way where we can pay for that attorney to be there for you, and then we'll figure a way to inform you of your rights later on, or teach you as well, get you more knowledgeable on the product as well.
That's good. No, I think it's fascinating. I see in my head so many different ways this could go. I see it so many ways that it can support in our own defense of our people and making sure that our people remain safe. I am thrilled at your brilliance, and I'm so happy that you chose to do this. So on behalf of Dr. Tarvin, we thank you so much for being in our own defense. And our listeners, thank you so much for being here again. This is In Our Own Defense podcast, and this has been another great episode. Thank you for tuning in, and tune in for more episodes here live from Lake Travis here in Austin, Texas. Thank you. Have a great day.